All right. I think we're ready to go, Tom. We've got important things to talk about today. We are going to talk about the winners and losers of this transfer market
That's right.
in the English Premier League. And maybe we might dip into a few other leagues. We'll see what happens. But we're going to start and finish with the English Premier League. And I think, Tom, we should start. We're going to start with winners and losers of what people project to be the top 6 teams. We'll see. But we'll cover other teams too, obviously. But let's start with Spuds.
Spuds?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Tottenham, that's an interesting one because, they're not buying the bigger name players.
Okay, get to the point.
I think even without that, just if you don't even talk about the player transfers, just bringing in Thomas the Frank Engine was huge. That's what they're calling him, Thomas the Frank Engine. And that's a huge transfer in my book.
Yeah, that's the biggest one.
And then he knows who the team needs. You know, he knows what Tottenham need, and he knows, he just knows the team apparently very well because they didn't break the bank. They brought some very reasonable signings in. I think they have Kudus, of course. It was Paulinho. Was that this season?
Yep.
Okay. Kolo Muani, Xavi Simons. That's a pretty big one. And then there's Kevin Danzo and Kota Takai. That's not so well known of a name. A couple of defenders, a couple midfielders, a couple forwards. Everywhere on the field, he strengthened. And they're doing really well. So,
very well.
Considering how well they're doing, it's like you can't give them a bad rating. You can't say that they did a bad job in the summer.
Yeah,
I think.
You can't criticize the transfers that much. I think that Thomas Frank, how he managed Brentford was, nothing shy of a miracle.
Yeah.
Or he's an extraordinarily good manager. Now,
right.
Spuds have taken risks on other mid-table managers, like Nuno.
Yeah.
And Nuno just fell flat on his face and has continued to do so ever since then. Mm-hmm. But we've seen that. Graham Potter to Chelsea. We've seen guys that are actually in a good system, in a good club, and they just happened to be at the right place at the right time, and their system fit in well with the club system, and the club was able to get them the right players for that system, for that level of achievement. And then they just rolled with that, and they did really well, and they get to a higher level where the club has higher expectations and has achieved more, and they fall flat on their face because they're not horrible per se, but they're not as good as what people think.
Right.
So, and then you have Frank Lampard. Love the guy, but nearly getting Derby County promoted is not worthy of getting appointed to Chelsea.
Yeah.
Obviously, but they didn't put that one together. Whatever.
My favorite example of this, of the mid-table manager going up, not favorite, but it's a really good example, is David Moyes when he went to Man U. That was the first time I really paid attention to this phenomenon occurring. And when he went there, it seemed like a great signing. And he had done very well at Everton. He got 4th place with Everton. That was huge.
That was crazy.
Everton with a shoestring budget is almost like Leicester winning the league.
Yeah.
Close. Not the same, but it was still very impressive, right?
Yeah.
He goes to Man U, and he's like, I know a really good midfielder that we could use. Fellaini.
Maroon Fellaini.
He's been phenomenal for Everton. He's like, he's going to blow your minds. So they blew all this money on Fellaini, and it's like, well, this is Man U now. Now you're taking over for Sir Alex Ferguson. You've got to do better than Fellaini. That can't be your marquee signing, And so he fell flat, really fell flat on his face.
Yeah, big time. And he didn't understand it's like you can spend some money. You can push to spend some money. You don't have to be like, oh, I need to be really economically sound. This is already a great team. No, the reason why the top clubs stay at the top, back then it was the big three. That's how they referred to it as.
Yep.
And back then, or maybe it was Big Four, whatever.
Yeah, probably Big Four.
Yeah, I think it was Big Four. Regardless, the reason why, and to this day, the reason why it stays that way, where you generally speaking see the usual suspects at the top, is because they insert new talent every single season to keep the locker room competitive, not just what happens out on the field.
Right.
They want to shake things up because they don't want anybody getting complacent.
Right.
They want people to be on edge. I could lose my position. Nothing's sure. I've got to work hard every day in and out of training. I've got to be the best I can be. I've got to improve continuously. I've got to stay fit. I can't just go into the summer break and just decide to smoke cigarettes and drink all summer long and be an animal.
Yeah.
And so that's why the top teams do that. And Moyes was like, I'm going to be, economically sound, and I'm going to show this club how we can achieve a lot without bringing in too many transfers, without spending too much money. It's like, no, don't be miserly. Push. Of course, they're always going to encourage being miserly because their hope is that that doesn't need to happen and that the team will just continue from strength to strength and that we don't need to bring in. But they're wrong. They're a bunch of bean counters. That's the people that own the club, bean counters.
Yeah. Now, in retrospect, looking at Moyes, they'd probably be much better off if they had kept Moyes at this point.
Dude.
They'd be light years ahead of where they are.
Bring back Van Gaal, man. This is like, man, you are a disaster. A disaster.
It's every manager they get, you look back and you say, man, they should have kept the last one.
Yeah.
They should have kept any of the last ones.
Yeah.
Except for Mourinho. He was a step up.
Yes.
He brought him back up to the top. But
Mourinho had them, they finished second. They were great under Mourinho. And they were just unlucky, honestly, to come up against that Pep team with that amount of investment and those players in their prime. It was a crazy time.
It's crazy that they got rid of Mourinho. It's just really nuts with how good of a coach he is and how well he was doing.
Yeah.
It just didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
He did ask for it a little bit by kind of...
Oh, he was tough.
I mean, he criticizes the ownership and the players. So
yeah,
that's how he rolls.
But turns out they deserved it. Shocker.
Yeah, he was right.
Yeah.
He was right. Should we talk about Man U's transfers then?
Yeah, let's talk about Man U.
Yeah. So United.
Cunha,
yep.
Mbeumo, Sesko, Lemons, Leon. Enzo I can't pronounce this guy's name.
Bayek?
Yeah.
Yeah.
225 million pounds in all.
So basically all forwards, no midfielders. They got a defender and a goalkeeper.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in their defense, their forwards haven't been exactly scoring. But
sure, yeah.
But they probably could. I mean, in my opinion, Antony aside, they could have gotten those forwards to score goals. Those forwards had scored goals in other places, or even for Man U in the case of Rashford, and they could have done a better job with the correct tactics and the correct coach, with getting the forwards they had to be more effective. What they need is somebody that can come in and make sure that the midfield is rock solid and can't be easily penetrated, and and the defense, of course, too. So with their current tactical scheme, Amorim's very committed to that style. We've talked about this before. It's reminiscent of Ange with less success, shockingly. And Ange, I think, was a disaster. I knew that, like, when he was playing a high line with 9 men on the field against Chelsea, I was like, well, dude, you're not going to survive here, because if you do that, that just shows that although it's important to be committed to a style, pragmatism in the right circumstances is more important. And the greatest managers always show that.
Right.
Unless it's a situation with like a manager of Bayern Munich or Pep Guardiola, where they have unlimited amounts of money and can kind of just do what they want.
Right.
You know, tactically, and it's generally going to work out.
Right.
So,
with the Ange, example, it's so it was such an obvious choice. Like, you should obviously defend.
Yeah.
You should sit back and defend, obviously.
Yeah.
You should look for a counterattack if you can. But that's at 10 men. That's what you do. At 9 men, you try to play a high line. It's just stupid. It was, like, really dumb. And I think, with Amorim, he does some of that too.
Yeah.
He hasn't had that bad of an example, but it does seem like pretty clearly this is a team that is not. There is zero focus on defense at all whatsoever.
Yeah.
Are they still starting Maguire? How long has he been at that club?
He's been there for a while.
And he's been bad for a long time, too.
He's been bad, but he's been better. That's the crazy thing. That's the state of their defense, is that he's coming in and improving their defense. He's been subbed on to help mitigate the disaster that's going on back there. I think
not a good sign.
They should have picked up. I think they should have focused on the midfield, though, because I think that those defenders, although not great, if they had a midfield that really covered them, a solid center midfield with a defensive midfielder that was an animal, it would be a much different story, and they might be competing at a higher level on the table.
They need some midfield backup. I mean, I think who's the other guy from Real Madrid they brought in? Casemiro. Casemiro's really old. He's on the way out.
Yeah, and
he's been bad. He has had some big mistakes over the last few seasons.
Yeah, he's not been the same guy. I don't want to say since his first season, but after his first season at Man U, he's not been the same guy, which makes sense. By the way, he's
had
not
injuries too.
He's not exactly the most mobile midfielder either. He's not N'Golo Kante out there. He never has been.
Right.
He's been the type of guy where he makes great decisions with time on the ball, and he's a hard tackler and all these different things, but he's a big guy, and he's not the most mobile guy. Right. And so they've needed to, I think they should keep him because he brings a lot of leadership to the team, and he has skill.
Sure.
And he's really good.
He is,
but he's a relief pitcher. He's the type of guy that comes in and can shore up a game, or can come in next to a hyper energetic, tenacious defensive midfielder right next to them. Could do very well.
Yeah.
But they apparently don't want to do that. They've got Bruno Fernandes parked to him in the center of midfield, and they've just got a goofy setup.
Oh, they started Mount on the left wing. Mason Mount against Arsenal.
Yeah.
Mason Mount shouldn't be in the Premier League. he should be in, like, maybe,
Dude, it
in
was
Italy or something.
crazy. But that's
Yeah.
what they were. That's what they've. That's what they've. That's what Amram's been. Reduced to, is like
Yeah.
starting Mason Mount. Like, we'll start Mason Mount. I guess that's what we got to do. And it's like, dude,
Yeah.
he's just not it.
Yeah.
So whatever. I mean, I like Cunha. I like Mbuemo. I like Sesko. I don't hate any of their transfers that they brought in. I just think that it's not exactly what they need, and they're not going to. Amarim's wrong to think they're just going to attack teams. That's dumb.
Right.
You need to be more pragmatic.
Yeah, the Cunha and Mbuemo signings seem really good, actually. Those,
Yes.
when I saw those, I was like, oh, wow. We've got, Amarim might be figuring, he might know something. These are really good signings. Sesko, I'm not so convinced on, okay? And here's why. He costs so much, and he's like 22 or 23. And he, in the league that he came from, which was it the German league?
Yeah.
Yeah, RB Leipzig, yeah. He didn't score very many goals.
No, he was not prolific.
He was not prolific at all.
Yeah.
Like maybe...
It's like 12 goals last season.
Exactly.
Something like that.
Yeah. So why is he going to go to a much more difficult league and then score more than 12 goals? They need more than 12 goals from their striker, especially with this overly offensive play.
He's a Havertz buy, I think.
He could be good. He could be helpful.
There's potential there.
Yep.
But
the potential, I think, is what they're looking at.
Yeah.
But it's
his size
like
and his
they
pace.
were fighting relegation last season.
Yeah.
So potential, I don't know if
Yeah.
they should be looking for potential at this point.
Yeah. No, they shouldn't. And that's why they brought in Højlund, and he didn't pan out immediately, and they shipped him out on loan, I believe. I hope on loan, because I actually believe in Højlund. I think that Højlund could be really good. Rasmus Højlund has a lot of potential, but he didn't pan out immediately. But shocker, it's the Premier League. A lot of players don't pan out immediately. Mo Salah at Chelsea, De Bruyne at Chelsea. A lot of players don't pan out immediately.
Right.
But then they grow into it. Lukaku at Chelsea.
Right.
A lot of players don't do great, and then they, come into their own in the league. Mm-hmm. Not everybody's just going to hit the ground running like Erling Haaland. I mean, Erling Haaland is just he's everybody's looking for the next Erling Haaland.
Right.
And that's just not going to happen likely. I just wanted to jump back to Tottenham and say that they picked up Xavi Simons from RB Leipzig as well.
That's another great signing.
And that's a really good, very versatile.
Yeah.
It was very effective in the Bundesliga and has the attributes to do very well in the Premier League. Mm-hmm. So, no guarantees. I mean, everybody thought that Timo Werner would have the attributes to do well in the Premier League. He was super pacey.
Timo Werner.
Oh,
yeah.
Jeez, Werner. Pardon me, Timo Werner. But we all saw how that panned out. So Xavi Simons is a lot more tricky in his play for sure, but he's got pace. He looks like, and he's got good stats.
Yeah.
I think there does need to be a conversation amongst Premier League, owners and general managers and just whoever's in charge of transfers about the fact that when it comes to players coming out of the Bundesliga, it's at best a 30-70 in success. Like, the Bundesliga, for one thing, there's only 18 teams that compete in the Bundesliga. They have less games.
Okay. Yeah.
They have less competitions. And if you watch the Bundesliga, it's very attack heavy. Mm-hmm. It's a much slower paced game.
Very direct.
It's very you're just very focused on entertainment, and it is a very entertaining league, and that's why I just think guys get into the Premier League and like, man, Tarkowski is a mean guy. This monkey that's guarding me, Tarkowski at Everton, is like trying to grab my balls. This guy is crazy. He's deranged. And you don't get that in the Bundesliga.
Yeah.
I've watched a lot of Bundesliga, and the refs are on top of things, and the players respect the rules a lot more. and there's a lot less stamping, a lot less just general dirty, aggressive, physical play. And the Premier League is far and away the most aggressive.
Much more brutal.
It's much more brutal. So
I mean, and that's just talking about the general attitude and temperature of the players.
Yeah.
Not to mention the temperature, the actual temperature, and the weather that they have to deal with, which is nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that in the Bundesliga things are pretty cool and cooled down throughout the season, given the weather, and it shows in the players' temperament. So not all players do well.
When they
Coming
go to
from
England.
Bundesliga, it's obviously there's plenty of players that we can look at who've done very well. It's not to say that the Bundesliga is a terrible league. It's just
Well, my big thing is that I look at a litmus test for the quality of a league is how many teams in the league have won the Champions League within the last 10 years.
yeah,
You look at the Premier League, it's like, Liverpool, City, Chelsea,
yeah,
and then, just before that, United. There's a lot. There's a lot of different winners. So there's a lot of high-quality teams in the Premier League. In La Liga, there's a couple,
Yeah.
It's Real Madrid and Barcelona, and I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
And they Madrid especially have really dominated the Champions League. But you get to the Bundesliga, and Dortmund have made it to the final a couple of times. I think they've won it. I don't think they have.
No, they haven't.
Yeah.
No, they haven't.
Atletico have made it to the final, I think, as well. Or no, sorry, that's a different league. Anyways, but Bayern Munich have won the league, the Champions League, and that's kind of it. Recently, that's really it.
Yeah, in recent times.
There's one team that's dominating the league, and everybody else is just competing against them.
Yeah, and Bayern are a force to be reckoned with. They're great, and they do well against all the other European sides. They do really well, and I can't take anything away from them.
They're fantastic.
They keep a super high level on the training ground, and it shows in the league.
Yep.
I mean, we talked about the Premier. You just talked about the Premier League and how we compete in the Champions League. I mean, Liverpool played against Spurs in the Champions League final in 2019.
That's right, in the final.
Okay.
Yep.
Man City played against Chelsea in the final in 2021. I mean,
that's unheard of.
Yeah.
It's very abnormal.
Yeah, it's very abnormal. Like in that close of succession, that's how many Premier League teams are like going to the top. So,
much more competitive in Europe.
Yeah.
The Premier League is.
yeah. So,
Yep.
but it shows if you watch the Premier League regularly and you watch La Liga, Bundesliga, and Serie A, you can see why.
Yeah.
You can see why.
Yep.
It's pretty pronounced why, because you'll have teams like Bournemouth come out of nowhere and put on a clinic on a top 6 team.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing. The Premier League has a top 6. What?
Yeah.
Top 6?
Yeah.
The other leagues don't have a top 6.
Yeah.
They've got like a top 2 or 3.
Right.
Maybe.
Right. That's only La Liga.
Yeah.
I mean, Bundesliga, supposedly they have a top 2, but it's...
No, it's just a top 1.
Yeah.
It's a top 1.
It's a top 1.
Let's be real.
Be honest here.
Yeah.
All right, so how do we rate Man United's summer? I think it's a win, I think. And
I don't.
you don't.
No,
Okay.
no, they should have brought in defenders and midfielders.
They should have. I agree.
And I think Cunha and Mbeumo are great. and we'll see about Sesko, although he's their most expensive transfer of their top attackers they brought in. But I think that you got to know your team and where their weaknesses are. And yes, of course, they've had a hard time scoring goals. And so I get where they're coming from with that. But you also have a lot. You're Manchester United. You can find the money and you can sell the appropriate amount of players in order to bring in some ultra-talented defenders and midfielders. And instead, they just focused on attack, which I think was good, and they shipped out the right people. I mean, maybe you could make an argument they should keep Rashford, although I think his attitude was torched. Same with Garnacho. The attitude was not there.
Right.
The belief was not there.
Yep.
They were bitter.
They were very sour.
And sour about the whole situation. It's like, okay, they're no longer drinking the Kool-Aid. Ship them out. Mm-hmm. But, so it's great they brought those guys in. However, what's most important is midfield. And then with Manchester United's recent history, their defense needs some help too. You know, like Harry Maguire should just not be at the club. You know, he shouldn't. And I am impressed with some of the redemptive efforts that he's made and scoring game-winning goals in recent times and playing great defense, even after all the horrendous things that have happened under Ten Hag and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. But that being said, they need to fix that. I think they're losers for the transfer window.
Yeah, I agree with your assessment on what they should have done, but I do think, considering that they were relegation, they're fighting relegation last season, just the fact that they spent a lot of money and they brought in a 2 or 3 really good players, I think that bodes pretty well for them.
Okay.
And, by the way, just, preview, they're going to play Man City this weekend. Okay? And I think people are going to start to change their tune on Amorim because I think he's going to start really competing against these big teams that he's about to play against. City are not doing well. United, I think Amorim is gearing this team to be able to surprise the top 6 teams. I think he will.
There was a degree of belief that you saw in their last game with how they came back and how Bruno Fernandes scored that game-winning penalty. That was great to see. However, their tactical setup is horrendous.
Yeah.
And Amorim needs to... First off, Bruno Fernandes should not be playing in a deep-lying midfield role. Don't do that. I get that he's an aggressive, passionate guy, and he can run for days, but he is best suited in a forward-looking position. Sure. Like either on a prong of a 3-man defense, so left or right center midfield, or as a center attacking midfielder, and he can play out wide, and he can do well as a forward too.
Right.
But not partnering a defensive center midfielder like Casemiro. Like that's don't do. What are you doing? Why are we doing this? Yeah. This is insane. Stop that.
Yeah.
And I bet it's because Amorim's like, we just need to maximize the attack. We need to attack my play. And it's like, dude, no, it's not just about like putting as many attackers out there on the field as possible and hoping they all connect.
Right. Right.
So, and the other annoying thing is Cunha and Mbeumo, they came from very pragmatic sides.
Right.
And they can sit around and not touch the ball hardly at all for the entire game and still get a nice pass in for an assist or score a goal.
Yep.
Like they're that type of player.
Yep.
And Bruno's the same way too. Bruno just needs an opportunity.
Right.
He's proven that. He is the one player that we can say throughout this period of absolute disaster at Manchester United, he's the one player that can go to any other top 3 team in Europe and start. Without a doubt. He could go to City, he would start. He could go to Chelsea, he would start. He could go to Arsenal, Liverpool, he would start. He could go to AC Milan, Inter Milan, Napoli. He could go to Atletico Madrid, Real Madrid, Barca. He could start at all those clubs. Okay? He could. He's that good.
I don't want him at Arsenal, but
Yeah,
sure.
I bet. But I'm just saying.
Good. He's a good player.
We're spending too much time on Man United. What the heck?
I know. Yeah. By the way, Man United. Why are we talking about them? They fought relegation last season. They're not worth talking.
Moving
about.
on.
They're garbage.
Moving on.
So Man City. How about Man City? So they are. We already mentioned them. They're going to play United coming up.
Yeah.
They have had a bad start to the season.
Yeah.
They lost some really important players in the midfield. They brought in Ryan Ait-Nouri, Ryan Cherky, Tiani Rangers, Marcus Bettinelli.
I think it's Reinders. I don't know, though.
Oh, Reinders. There you go. Reinders. Yeah, I don't care. James Trafford and Severe Nijpen, who is a Norwegian.
Hey.
So that's the Nijpen guy is like 18. He's a youth player.
Yeah. They 12 million pounds for him.
Yeah.
This is some smart business. I mean, Ryan Cherky is clearly a very talented player, and he's already shown at City that he's adjusting well to the Premier League. I'm not saying he's going to pop off and be amazing, but he's got a goal. He's shown some promise. Same with Reinders. I think the big thing with these guys that they've brought in is that they are not, and we've mentioned this before, they are not one-for-one replacements for Kevin De Bruyne in his prime type situation.
Exactly. Yep.
And so they're good, but it's mostly potential, and we haven't seen the full potential yet come to fruition. So I think that they're losers. And I'll just a quick side note about their goalkeeper situation. I think getting rid of Edison and having like James Trafford, like what? From Burnley? I'm super confused by this.
Right.
Like you would think he'd bring in like Pickford if he's going to go for an Englishman or somebody from the UK. And to offload that goalkeeper who's done that much for your club because an attitude disagreement, or I don't know exactly what happened, but like he's a ball-playing goalkeeper, albeit, in my opinion, not a great goalkeeper, but he was able to do what Pep needed him to do when Pep had the right tactical scheme for the rest of this field. And it's like, if that's what you want to continue doing with that tactical scheme, then he's what fits it. But surprise, if he needs to stop a lot of shots and needs to keep a lot of goals out and needs to act under a ton of pressure for large portions of the game, which is something he's never had to do at City until last season, well, yeah, he's not going to do great. But it doesn't mean offload him.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think this is a sign of Pep gripping the bat too tight. And so I think they bombed out on this transfer window, and it's going to show in their results for the season.
I agree. They've been struggling already this season, dropping points where they shouldn't have.
Yeah.
And you kind of give them a pass because they lost those big signings in Rodri and De Bruyne, but surely they could have done better than this because they are not doing well at all right now. So, Are you ready to talk about your beloved Chelsea, Joe?
Actually, Tom, I want to talk about Liverpool first.
Oh, great. Liverpool.
Let's talk about Liverpool because I've got a bone to pick with people because they're like, Liverpool, they had the best transfers. They won the transfer market. They did the best. Everybody's giving them an A+, saying that they were the biggest winners of this transfer market. And I couldn't disagree more. I could not disagree more. That being said, I am not at all ruling them out to win the league this season. In fact, I think with picking up Itzhak, it's like a very strong possibility they will. They already look super strong. They have shown weakness. They concede a lot of goals. And that's what I want to get to.
Okay.
So they pick up Florian Wirtz from... Guess where they pick up Florian Wirtz from, Tom?
Germany. Oh, from...
The Bundesliga. That's right.
Yeah.
You got it. The Bundesliga. And what do you know that we know and what you know about the Bundesliga?
50-50 chance on 70-30 chance on success.
In my opinion, 70-30 chance. And he has just not been great.
No.
For 116 million pounds, it's like, what is going on here? And he's just kind of roaming around the field and making sideways passes. It's not super impressive.
Not at all.
So
Yeah. He is struggling to make an impact.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think that throws a shadow over the rest of their transfer business.
Right.
And
Right.
I think part of the reason it does is because they have not sufficiently strengthened their back line.
Right.
I don't see it. And Will Wright for $200K from Salford City is like not going to cut the mustard.
Right.
Okay? So they and like it's very clear that Van Dijk is past his prime. He's great though, and like we've seen other center backs do really well even past their prime. I'm not saying that again, I don't want to say authoritatively that they're not going to, compete for the league this season.
Right.
I don't think they're going to win it, but I think that their Achilles heel is their defense. It's already very clear.
Right.
And they've only strengthened their forward line, and they've not strengthened their defense. And where they've strengthened their midfield is in this new kind of role that they're invented for Florian Wirtz. And that wasn't a big part of their system last season, so that requires things to change a bit. Although I think the ethos of the team and what won them the league last season is still there, and it's still very effective. But
Sure.
Wirtz is, for that amount of money, not worth it. And especially if
Yeah.
you're going to end up getting Alexander Itzhak, which is what you really need, and Ekitike is coming in, who, is really highly rated and has been very effective just right out of the gate. It's like, and they spent a ton of money on him too. I think
He's been impressive. Yep.
Wirtz is where they should have thought that one a little bit further through and put that money towards like defensive midfielders and defense, especially center backs. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think. I think they've focused too much on offense. They've got two strikers. Like you said, Ekitike hit the ground running. He was doing great. And then they added on top of that Alexander Isak. And they kind of overlooked the defense, and with the Wirtz purchase in midfield, I think it's going to take a long time before Wirtz hits the ground running. And recently, it seems like most players, when they take too long to get in gear, they run out of excitement. They run out of zeal.
Yeah.
They end up getting benched, and then it's just downhill from there. They can't get back to the form that they were at before they came to the Premier League. And then, now I will say, as far as the defenders, I don't know that they had a lot of options in the market. So they might have done as best as they could in the market for defense. And then, when it came down to it, it was like either get Alexander Isak, go really hard on offense, or, try to get a couple.
Well, for
mid-level
116
defenders.
million pounds, you can buy almost any defender in the world.
That's true. You can buy.
So, and they chose to spend that on Florian Wirtz.
Right.
And I get it. They had their eye on him from last season.
They wanted
and
him.
I get it. He was great in Bundesliga. Mm-hmm. He was very good. But they also have to remember, like, he's only been very good for a very short amount of time. It's not like he's had like 5 seasons in the Bundesliga absolutely dominating.
Right.
He's had a couple.
Right.
And he's done very well in those seasons.
Right.
But he's not the finished product. And he's an unknown entity because he's not coming from, a league that is like a 1-for-1 or close, even, I would argue, even close to a 1-for-1 for the Premier League. So only a couple seasons. He's very young. I think he's 22, 23. It was a big risk, and it was too much money, and it's going to come back to bite them in the posterior.
Yeah, this season it will.
This season, yeah, he might pan out.
In a few
and
years,
I'm not saying
we'll
that he's not going to do some cool things. He's got skill. It's just like adjusting to the pace, and then there's the injuries concern, and the confidence, and all the other things that go on.
For that amount of money, the guy has to kill it on the first day.
Yeah.
It has to be Haaland, right?
Yeah.
Erling Haaland. He killed it on the first day. Or Declan Rice for Arsenal.
Yeah.
Killed it on the first day. And Florian Wirtz is not killing it on the first day.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Now we can talk about Chelsea if you'd like. Or
Now,
Arsenal if you want.
Let's go to Chelsea. Let's do it.
Okay.
All right.
Let's save Arsenal for last.
I don't know Chelsea as well as you do, so I'm going to let you talk the most. But let me just go through the signings. We've got Dario Asugo, Liam Delap, Estevao, João Pedro, Alejandro Garnacho. That was, I think, a late signing. Facundo Bonat, I don't even know how to pronounce that, from Brighton.
Buonanotte or something.
Okay, Buonanotte, yeah.
Yeah.
Kendry Paez.
Yeah.
Mike Penders, and then Mamadou Sarr.
Yeah. So we shipped out a lot of people, and I think we did pretty well. I think that we were winners on this Premier League transfer window. I think the big signings is João Pedro, first and foremost. He's immediately panned out. He's been very good out of the gate. And he was just the type of player that just needed the supply. He had the demand, he just needed the supply. And it's a supply and demand equation, and he's got it, and he's immediately delivering. And he just wants to score goals, and he's making it happen. He's down to play striker. He's down to play in the hole right behind the striker, and he's just motivated. He works hard, and he's very skillful, and he's strong. He's 6 feet tall. He's just a great player. So that's like the biggest win. I think Liam Delap also has a lot of those same types of attributes, although he is definitely an out-and-out striker. He just came up with a bad injury, but he's looked good when we've played him out there. And, in the Club World Cup against Paris Saint-Germain, he looked really good when he came on as a sub, and he looks like a beast, a unit, but he's got pace. He's a little bit tricky. So that was good because that's what we need, goals, and I think they're going to bring the goals. And then Estevao has been extremely effective and dangerous. Good. He's got a number of assists. He's tricky. He's quick. He just reminds me a lot of Iling-Junior at Real Madrid.
I don't know how you guys did this, but those 3 players were all 30 million apiece.
Yeah.
Pounds, which is that's pretty impressive. I think. I think Delap is accurately priced. Pedro seems like you got a bit of a deal on him.
Well, Delap scored 12 goals last season for Ipswich, who got relegated.
Yeah, which is that is good. That is very good. But I do think it is a little bit. It's an accurate pricing for him. 30 million.
Yeah.
How Pedro, I think, is more of you got a good deal.
A little bit of a steal. Although João Pedro, I think, scored 12 or 10 last season at Wolves or Brighton.
Yeah.
But everybody could tell, this kid's got potential. He looks good, kind of like Cunha or Mbuemo.
You guys have been robbing Brighton of all their players every season.
Yeah.
Which you've bought 2 different Brighton players this season.
Yep.
You took their coach before. You took players before.
Yeah.
So,
rest in peace, Graham Potter.
Continuing that.
What a pathetic coach.
That trend.
Yeah. So now then the Facundo Buonanotte, he's also from Brighton. He's on loan.
Okay.
He's young. He's like 20, 21. Kind of an attacking midfield type player. Very tricky with the ball at his feet. Likes to shoot from outside the box.
Good.
I think he's got skill, but clearly there's something a little off if Brighton are willing to let him go.
Okay.
I do also think that he likes to occupy. He's been deployed on the wings, and they've got the wings covered. So with excellent players. So I think that he could be effective, but I mean, I hope he does well. I liked what I saw when I've looked at his play, but whatever. I think that the big winners here are Delap, Estevao, Pedro.
Right.
I personally really like that we got Garnacho. Everybody else is like, oh, Garnacho, he's trash. He's one of these trash Man U players. But the truth is, like, he did really well for Man U for a hot second. And then once it settled into his psyche that the club was, wallowing in misery and mediocrity, he became disgruntled and was like, I need to get out of here. This isn't moving my career forward. And he's right. It's not moving his career forward. And he's young enough where he shouldn't spend time at this club that's just not going to achieve at the level that he thinks his talent deserves. And he's not wrong about that.
Yep.
He's a good player. You can go online and see his stats and see his highlights. He scores important goals in important moments in big games. And he
had that bicycle kick last season.
Yeah, he's
game winner.
Bags of pace. Yep. He's skillful on the ball, and he likes to shoot, and he likes to dribble defenders. So he's low on confidence. I would agree with that. And he's got a bad attitude, but who doesn't have a bad attitude at Man U?
I have a hard time taking him. Yeah, well, that is true. Everybody at Man U now should have a bad attitude. But Garnacho, I have a hard time taking him seriously. He is like a major Ronaldo fan, big Man U fan, and he gets to go there, and he had some big goals, but they really fell flat. And then now he's going to Chelsea, and it's hard to take the guy seriously at all. He does his crazy hair stuff, and it's like, okay, dude,
whatever.
Good luck with it.
I mean,
but I will say it's a good move for him, and it's probably a good move for Chelsea. If he's willing to leave his favorite team to go to Chelsea, it's probably a good move for Chelsea. He's going to really want to, perform well to show Man U what they missed out on.
Yeah.
So I think he's going to do well.
Yeah.
So I'd say, overall, I think you guys had a good transfer window.
Yeah, I'd say it's a winner.
It's a little bit underwhelming, to be honest.
How so? What do you mean?
Well, you're not spending any. There's no 100 million players. There's no players from any big teams, aside from maybe Garnacho. But I do think it's actually quite smart what Chelsea have done. And again, economically, Chelsea, every season, that they're spending billions of dollars on their team. And yet, they're able to balance the books and not, as far as, players that they sell to offset who they bring in, they tend to do better than everybody else in the Premier League.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this season, I don't think you guys spent that much. It seems
Well,
like
these
you guys are
numbers
gonna
that
do
you're
quite well.
off this list aren't accurate. And there's some players that we
That's
didn't
true.
cover on this list, like Hato. We brought in this kid Hato or
Oh,
Hato,
yeah, from Ajax.
and he's kind of like this defender who's can play center back. Kind of started out wide, though, in like a left right back role. He's just really athletic,
Right.
and smart,
Tenacious.
and tenacious. So, and then we already have like young, super athletic, tenacious center backs who are, it's not, nobody's the reincarnation of John Terry yet exactly, or Rio Ferdinand, but they look good, and there's a lot of potential,
Yeah.
So
Overall, a good window, I think.
I think overall a good window. We strengthened in the spots where we needed to,
Yeah.
and did a little bloodletting where we needed to get rid of some fat, get rid of some players that.
I'm simply surprised that you guys haven't spent $100 million, on a big name.
What's his
Just
name?
because you guys do it so often.
Rory Jennings or whatever his name is, was like so butthurt about Gittins.
Okay.
Oh, we should have got Izzy. You want to win the league, you get Izzy.
Oh, really?
You want to run a good You want to run a good, ledger. You get Gittins, and because Gittins is not as expensive and not as renowned. Because Gittins is an Englishman, but he comes from the Bundesliga,
Okay.
and I'm like, dude, we picked up sufficient Premier League talent. Gittins doesn't need to hit the ground running, and Izzy was, everybody wanted Izzy, and he's 27. It's not that he's old. You could get a lot more years out of him, or you could find out that he's worn out from getting banged up playing at Crystal Palace and bolting up and down the field and having defensive duties and all the things that he wouldn't have at a top club. Right. So it's like, whatever. And honestly, we've got other players that are really good in these positions, young guys. So I don't think we need it and I don't think Gittins is a sign of intent that we're not trying to win the league. We're clearly trying to win the league.
Yep.
We're very clearly trying to strengthen in all these different spots in order to compete in the Champions League and in the league.
Yeah.
And so.
Yeah. I think you guys are the dark horse to compete for the top two.
Yeah.
And it does seem like a very smart window. Again, it's like it would be more concerning if you guys went and spent big money on someone like Wirtz. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can spend big money and it doesn't mean anything. It's actually a negative.
Yeah.
So to spend, very judiciously and intelligently is impressive from a team like Chelsea.
Yeah.
So, all right, Arsenal.
Oh.
All right.
Arsenal.
Let me go through the names here. Gyokeres, Zubimendi, Eze, Madueke from Chelsea, Norgaard from Brentford, Hincapie, Piero Hincapie from Bayern Leverkusen. He's quite good.
You guys picked up Kepa?
Kepa.
That's right.
Arrizabalaga from Chelsea. And then Cristhian Mosquera from Valencia. So a lot of really good players, as far as I'm concerned, and from very good teams too. I mean, and I think we didn't overspend on anybody. I think it was a great window for Arsenal. Fantastic. And on that note, by the way, for all the Arsenal fans or people who criticizers, this was a great window. There is nothing to complain about here. We spent big. We brought in big names. We brought in players all over the field. More money than we've ever spent in a transfer window. More players than we've ever brought in. And we didn't break our record on any single player.
No.
But this seems like a really good window. And so to complain about it, to me, is just asinine. It doesn't make any sense. Arsenal, people have complained quite a bit about Gyokeres. They're concerned that he won't be able to score against the big teams. However, Gyokeres is a minnow slayer. He is going to crush, teams like Everton and Bournemouth and Leeds and Palace, right? And that's what Arsenal need. Arsenal have the best record in the league over the last 5 seasons, the best record of any team against the biggest teams in England and Europe. Well, maybe not Europe, but in England. And so to bring in players who can dominate the small teams, that's exactly what we need. And we need depth. We need more options. We need, when a player goes down, when Saka is injured like he is right now, we need Madueke. When Martinelli is injured, we need Eze. When Havertz is injured, as he is right now, we need Gyokeres.
Yeah.
So I'm quite happy with it.
Yeah. I think overall it's a win for you guys because you strengthened positions that needed strengthening, and with what was available for you guys for center forward or strikers, center forwards, whatever.
Right.
You picked up what you guys felt would be best. It's definitely the type of striker that doesn't fit into the vision that Arteta had originally of this total football, tiki-taka style.
Right.
But he's already shown that he's kind of moving away from being fully committed to just playing like a possession-oriented, dominant team. He's thinking, let's get pragmatic. Let's not be. We have a great defense. We've shown that. Let's not be afraid to rely on them. And then what we need then, when we're doing that in those games, is a striker who can kind of, boss his way around. Now, it hasn't completely panned out. He's gotten some goals, but when he's come up against strong, beefy, tough center backs, he struggled a little bit. But that might come down to the adjustment from coming from the Portuguese league to the Premier League. But he has the physical characteristics of the type of striker who you can kind of abandon up forward, and he'll find a way to beat the center backs guarding him.
Right.
And I thought that was smart. And then, his goal scoring record is just, it's crazy, totally crazy.
Yeah. Insane.
So I think that was great. I love the Zubimendi. I thought that was a great pickup too. I think Zubimendi is clearly very effective, and Eze also great pickup. I liked Madueke because I liked him at Chelsea.
Yeah.
As a Chelsea man myself, I literally thought coming into this transfer window, I thought we're going to let up some players for sure. Obviously, we're going to pick up a bunch of players, but I thought Madueke, how aggressive he is, the way he likes to dribble and run at defenders, and he just seems super motivated out there. He seems like a dog, like he's willing to do whatever he can for the team and the coach. So I thought we were going to keep him.
Right.
But I was totally wrong. Didn't have my ear to the ground enough. I think he's great for you guys, and we'll see if he can match his potential. That's the thing. So I do think he's an improvement on Martinelli. The problem is he doesn't play on Martinelli's side. He's kind of on the right side because he's left-footed, cut in and shoot. So we'll see. Right. But it's good because Saka's injured right now, whatever.
And we have Eze to play on the left as well. And
I like Kepa. I still like Kepa, even though he was completely ineffective for Chelsea. Completely ineffective. He was useless. But I like him, and I think at times, the style that Arteta likes to play, he'll be really effective should your number one go out injured.
Yeah, as a backup, I think he's fantastic.
Yeah. So, Arsenal, overall win?
Definitely, I think a win.
Transfer-wise?
Yeah, for sure. I do think, a lot of these players
also,
are set up
Norgaard is great, too. I like that you guys picked up Norgaard.
Oh, yeah.
He was great. Very effective for Brentford.
Yes. Yeah. That's a big signing. He's a little older. He's meant to be a backup for us and a tactical option. I think he's a great signing. I do think a lot of these signings, I was going to say, for Arsenal, I think they're set up to give us depth. You look at Kepa, Hincapie, Mosquera, even players like Eze and Madueke, of course Norgaard, even Gyokeres. I think a lot of these players, so Arteta mentioned this already, that he has changed the way he is looking at who he buys. Instead of looking at having a tier 1 player and then having a tier 2 player, like a guy who sits on the bench and comes on late in the game, or in case the first guy goes down, the second guy comes in. Instead of doing that, what Arteta is doing is getting 2 players of the same level. So Arteta is looking at Gyokeres and Havertz as being the same level striker. Zubimendi and Norgaard, or maybe Zubimendi and Rice, the same level of defensive mid.
Yeah.
Eze and Martinelli, same level, right? And you can go through the whole list. Kepa, Hincapie, Mosquera. So what that does is it gives us quality depth. So maybe we don't have 4 players per position or 3 players or whatever, but the player coming off the bench from now on should be just as good as the player who started the game. Okay? Or if a guy is injured like Saka, Madueke should be able to perform at the same level as Saka. And then with that, as we mentioned before, that improves the quality of the starting player because they have to compete with each other for that position to see who can start and who can, perform the best.
Yeah. And I think a big thing for you guys is creating options outside of Martinelli on that side. Martinelli is just not at
his best.
Oh, excuse me. So, well, that happened. But, I mean, that's the thing. He brings on... I'm allergic to Martinelli. I'm not a huge fan. He's one of these guys who's like really quick, and he just burst out of the youth system with his extraordinary athletic abilities. And not only is he fast, but he's a worker. He has.
Oh yeah.
He can go up and down the field, and he can
all day long.
He can be effective in closing down the opposition wingers. And which people have talked about with Mo Salah, that he's been really effective with that, and that is impressive. But he has not figured out the Arjen Robben trick of cutting in and taking a shot. Or just generally taking on a defender when it gets down to it.
He's really struggling.
So you guys needed options out there, and you brought him in. So it's a win for you guys in the transfers. A few other things I wanted to quick talk about.
Yeah, go ahead.
Other transfers, and we've mentioned them before, but Everton.
Oh yeah.
Everton have crushed.
Okay,
I
did not pay attention too much to their transfer window.
They have done great work in the transfer window.
Good for Moyes.
Bringing in Grealish was a great option. Bringing in,
of course, that
Dewsbury
was huge.
Hall was awesome too. He had a beautiful goal recently, and he didn't get a ton of playing time at Chelsea, but he played a decent amount. He subbed in a lot. He started some games. I watched him a lot, and I thought, he's good. He's really good. And in the right system, with the right things going on, he could be really effective. And he does offer more going forward than he does in, defense. And he is kind of more of a defensive center midfielder type player, but he's definitely a type of player that kind of wants to pick up balls deep, move the ball forward, come in late in the box to sweep up stuff and get shots on target, or on goal. But I think he's really good. I've always thought he's really skillful, and he's a great pickup for Everton. And of course, Grealish is great, and Grealish thrives with that club in that position.
Absolutely brilliant.
We saw him at Aston Villa. He was awesome. So it was a great pickup.
He's leading the league in assists.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Grealish.
Yeah.
Yep.
He
says it all.
It's just a matter of him staying out of the Liverpool nightlife, honestly. If he can just hold it together, dude, just hold it together day to day, he'll be really good. And then so I just think that they're doing really well with those pickups. I think people are like, well, they got rid of, what's his name? Dominic Calvert-Lewin, but guy was super injury prone. He is athletic. He was pretty effective when he was able to play. But I think that people are going to be surprised by Beto. And if they need to, they'll pick somebody up in the January transfer window. But I think that they're just going to play really tight defense. They're going to rely on Grealish to create. And I think it's going to get them a mid-table finish, potentially a little higher. They could go a little higher. This is one of the few areas where I agree with Rory Jennings.
Really? You think
and
like
I think that they could
top
get
half of the table?
They could get 7th.
Okay.
They could go as high as 7th.
That would be huge for Everton. That'd be great.
Yeah, I think they're gonna surprise people.
Get Moyes back into the conference.
Yeah, because Moyes is gonna play tight and tough against the big teams, and then he's gonna have guys that can exploit the smaller teams.
Right. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, Grealish is. I can't emphasize enough how big of a signing that is, especially for Everton.
Yeah.
It's just really smart.
He's
really smart.
He's a top 4 world-class talent who was deeply unhappy at Man City. And I think a part of that is his own doing. And then I think that a part of that is the system was suffocating what he's best at.
Yep.
And at other top teams, he probably would have flourished much more, but it's fine, whatever, it doesn't matter. So I think they're going to do well. Then I think Sunderland are going to surprise. They picked up Granit Xhaka.
Yeah.
And I think
Sunderland, they are looking promising.
Yeah, I think they're going to do well. I think that they won. They had a win in the transfer market, just like Everton. And I think that they're going to stay up. They're not going to get relegated.
Yeah, just Xhaka alone is an amazing signing. He had an undefeated season to win the league in the Bundesliga, which is the one-horse race league.
Yeah.
And, I mean, that's massive. I think he was the captain of the team. He was the captain of Arsenal as well before that. So, huge signing for a team coming into the Premier League to really kind of get the team together, make sure they're gelled and they're thinking the right way.
Yeah.
I don't know that they're going to do very well, Sunderland. It's the first season in the league, so I think they're gonna have their struggles, and most players get injured once in a season.
Yeah.
So Xhaka might be out for a while. We'll see. Hopefully not, but I think they will stay up though. They'll stay in the Premier League for sure.
Yeah.
I think that's guaranteed for Sunderland.
Yeah, I think so. I think, Brighton, man, they just get drained every season. So.
Oh, man, it's brutal. Every season.
But they have Matoma. They've got some really good guys there.
They still have Matoma, yeah.
So I don't think that they're going to get relegated per se, but every season they just get stormed.
By Chelsea. By Chelsea.
Fair enough. Yeah. So I think Brentford are going to get relegated. I don't think they did well in the transfers at all. I mean, they lost Frank.
They lost Frank.
That's
they
the
lost
biggest
Mbumo. They lost Norgaard. That's like their team got gutted.
Yeah.
But I don't think that means they'll be relegated. I think that means they'll struggle quite a bit. But relegated is. I
think the Bees are going down, dude.
Yeah, they haven't had a great start to the season either. But
no, they haven't. I think Newcastle. I do not think they were winners in the transfer.
No. They didn't do anything.
transfer windows.
Notable.
I think that a big part of that has to do with the fact that they dragged out the Itzhak thing too long. And they probably could have sold Itzhak, halfway or 2/3 through the transfer window and gotten close to, if not the same amount of money, and then been able to immediately turn around and invest that in a bunch of players that could replace him, basically.
Right.
They're not going to get a 1-for-1, although they technically could with the money, but it's Newcastle. They can't attract that type of talent.
Right.
They kind of made Itzhak. He came in for hardly anything and just showed how much of a talent he is. And however, I think that they dragged out the negotiations in an effort to get as much as they could, and probably in an effort to make sure that the fans weren't mad at the front room and that Itzhak could get blamed for him leaving, which is just dumb. I mean, it's just dumb. You could just also have a press release and be like, look, they're coming for him. He wants to go. They're offering us this amount of money. It's crazy, and so we took it.
Right.
You could just do that at the moment of signing. You could just have that written out and do that, and kind of like soften the blow of the disdain of the fans, instead of being like, oh, you know what? He was a mean, big, bad, selfish player who, and he just didn't want to train with the team, and he just so dead set on this, and we tried to keep him, but he didn't want to stay, and so we dragged it out. It's like, come on, man. You mishandled the negotiations. So I think they're losers in the transfer market. That being said, I still think the rest of the team that sits around is really good, and they'll probably hang out in and around the top 6. Okay. So, but I think they were losers in the transfer market. But it's just the rest of the team is still there, and they're really good. Yeah. And Eddie Howe's there. So he might turn Anthony Gordon into Itzhak overnight. Who knows? Although the signs are not promising.
Okay, so I wanted to mention Nottingham Forest.
Okay.
They just fired their manager, Nuno Espirito Santo.
Yeah.
So they
early in the game.
Allegedly the reason is that he wasn't happy with his signings. He wanted to spend more money or buy different players, and he was not allowed to. So it could be a little bit of an excuse. He didn't do that well at, was it Tottenham? He kind of really surprising, because he did so well at Wolves, and then he went to Tottenham and it didn't click.
Yeah.
It just didn't click. I don't know. It was very kind of odd. And then went to Forest, and I thought he did pretty well, but this summer he was upset with his signings, and then they just fired him 3 games into the season.
So he is 100% fired? Because, some sources are showing him...
Is that not right?
Are you sure he got canned?
I heard...
Forest, part company. Yep, you're right. He is. He's out.
Yeah, he's gone.
That's very recent.
Yeah,
wow.
That is today. That is right now. So, so Nuno is out, and that, to me, was quite surprising based on how well Nottingham did last season. But that's not good for Nottingham. And they play Arsenal next. That's their next game, Arsenal, which is good for Arsenal, probably. I don't know that they have anyone lined up to take his place, unless I heard Zidane is gonna manage again, but I doubt he's gonna go to Nottingham. That would be a shock move.
Yeah, no, he's not. They're in Europa League. I think he probably just had some sort of insanely toxic relationship with the front office. Right. And then, he's a passionate guy, and
Yeah.
he probably just couldn't handle it. And like he's looking at the schedule, which their schedule's insane. You know, they're in Europe, they're in Europa League.
Oh, yeah.
Plus, like with everything they have breathing down their neck, he's probably like, well, dude, I don't know if we're going to survive. And who knows what injuries are already existing in the squad, you know, that aren't necessarily
Right.
publicized.
Right.
That being said, I think that was, you know, deeply unwise for them to allow him to go. Unless he must have forced it in the hopes that he could go somewhere else.
That could be.
Soon, or maybe he's hitting some wall and it's total burnout. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's a wild thing.
It's very surprising this early in the season with how well they did.
Yeah.
It's very odd, but I don't know. There must be more to the story. Arsenal's technical director, Edu, I think he's one of the Invincibles, right? Yeah. He went to Nottingham, and allegedly, you know, I think Nuno wanted to spend more money, buy different players. Edu is the guy who's now writing the checks for Nottingham. And I kind of suspect, based on how Arsenal operated with Edu, I suspect that he went to Nottingham to work for the owners of the team and kind of like tighten up the budget and kind of say, hey, look, we're not gonna blow money. We're gonna tighten it up. We're not gonna spend as much. That's how he operated at Arsenal. Makes sense that he'd do the same at Nottingham, and it makes sense that Nuno would say, this is not gonna work. I'm not happy with this. I can't work in these conditions, and then, you know, he's out the door.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And you know what? He's got a good enough track record, spuds aside, where he'll pick up a job somewhere else very soon.
Definitely.
Very soon.
Definitely. Maybe not a big team or a bigger team, but he'll be employed.
Yeah, he'll be employed. Yeah. So it's not a loss for him. Just as a professional, he'll be able to get in at a club that's competitive in the Premier League or one of the other top leagues, and he'll be fine. But it seems like a wasted opportunity. It seems like there could have been a meeting in the middle and some diplomacy. Because Nottingham have done very well. They have done very well. They've been very impressive. So
they have spent tons of money as well. They were the team. The first season, I've never seen this before. Maybe I wasn't paying attention, but Nottingham came into the Premier League, I think it was 2 seasons ago, and they bought 22 players in the transfer window.
yeah, that is
So 2 full starting lineups worth of players in their first season. And then the next season they bought a lot too.
Yeah.
So, and I think this is their third or fourth season in the league.
Yeah. But, I mean, it's been impressive what they've achieved.
Yes, very, very impressive. They went right up into Europe very quickly.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
Are we done talking about transfers? Should we wrap this up?
yeah. Yeah, I think so. I think we've covered all the bases. I mean, some of these clubs they're in the thick of it. You know, I think about Crystal Palace. I think, we mentioned Brentford already.
Brentford, they're struggling. They got gutted.
We already talked about them. I think West Ham their backs are major league against the wall here. They've really not shown that they're hyper serious about putting forward a really good team to maintain their same position. I think the same with Aston Villa. But they've got the coach, but I don't think that they've got the squad. So
yeah, I think they've lost a big name player or two, and I don't know. They really impressed early on when Emery went to Aston Villa. But they have, if you look at the way they've performed at the end of the season, they've kind of just been just slowly declining, really. Oh, they lost Rashford. They had Rashford on loan last season. He did well. He played very well. He played a lot for them. He's not there anymore.
Yeah.
And Aston Villa have not been, they've not had an upward trajectory with Emery. They've been just kind of slowly.
You know who they picked up?
Who's that?
Sancho and Lindelof.
Oh, Sancho.
Yeah. Now.
Oh, those are pretty good signings.
Lindelof, I think, flatters to deceive. I do not rate him as a top center back defender.
Okay.
I think Sancho gets a bad rep. Even a lot of Chelsea people hate him. Even when he came in on loan last season, a lot of people were hating on him.
Yep.
I saw a lot of good. I thought he was very effective.
Yep.
I thought for what they wanted him to do and for the amount that he played, his stats were decent. And I think he's really good. I think that he came into Man U with this enormous price tag from the Bundesliga, and there's a reoccurring theme here about the Bundesliga. Players struggle coming out of the Bundesliga to the Premier League, and he just didn't hit the ground running, and he lost confidence. He was under a bad manager. It was just a struggle. By the way, when he went back, when they loaned him back to Borussia Dortmund, did very well.
Yep.
Very well. So he's not terrible. Came back. They loaned him out to Chelsea. He did all right.
Right.
And so I think for Aston Villa, that's a big win. Lindelof is like whatever. I don't know. He's probably not better than Mings. But I think ultimately the team will do okay. I mean, they'll probably do about as good as they did last season.
Yeah, I kind of disagree with you on this. So,
well, maybe not as good as they did last season. They're in the Champions League this season, aren't they?
Ooh, I think they are.
Yeah.
Well, I think personally, I think Sancho is a he's a what do they call that?
No, they're in the Europa League.
Europa League. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sancho is not a consistent player. He is what's the word I'm looking for? If you have a luxury, he's a luxury player. Sancho, if you have a good, solid team, right? If you have like a solid base and you want someone that you can bring on or someone who can perform well, but you have a backup for him who's pretty consistent, Sancho's great, right? Like Chelsea had maybe not the most consistent team, but they had a lot of players that they spent a lot of money on that would show up every week and be there and do all right. And so Sancho, when he went to Chelsea, he could show up and he could perform well. In the Bundesliga, the quality is not the same. He can perform well in the Bundesliga. He was at Man U. They needed to do well. He needed to play every week, and it wasn't happening. It's like he's not available for a top performance every week. He can play every week, but he's not going to, blow your mind every week. And I think at Aston Villa, they're going to need him pretty regularly to perform, and I don't see that
He's no
happening.
Jack Grealish.
He's no Jack Grealish. Jack Grealish is going to get in the gutter. He's going to get dirty after a long weekend, and he's going to play. He's going to play ball. But Sancho he just seems a little too soft to perform at a team like Aston Villa.
Yeah, I don't know.
Are they in you said Europa League?
Yeah, they're in Europa League. I don't know what I was thinking. Of course, they're not in the Champions League, but
he'll do fine. He'll do fine, but I don't think he's gonna make it a good season for Aston Villa. I think they'll either hold their level, they'll stay in the Europa League, or they'll drop. It seems like they're on a trajectory of just kind of diminishing results and maybe stagnate a bit, but I don't see Aston Villa improving myself.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think they just have not done what needs to happen in order to be
challengers.
Yeah. Continually at the top level, and it's getting so competitive with other teams. Sunderland, again, I mean, not to beat a dead horse, but bringing in Granit Xhaka and already just what they've shown, they're coming to compete for the top 10 positions, and they just got promoted. And Sunderland look good, and they've got a good squad. And then Everton also have come in. They've got their new stadium. There's a ton of hype. Moyes is back. You know, he's gonna get the guys fired up. We know they're gonna play super tight defense. They're gonna be really restrictive against teams that would be considered quote unquote better than them. But now they've got the attacking players to create things going forward.
Right.
And then against lesser teams, they're always going to have a tight defense, but they're going to be able to create more. They're going to get goals. They're going to secure more wins this season.
Yeah.
And Aston Villa is going to get pushed out of that running for European spots.
Yeah.
That's just what's going to happen. They just haven't strengthened enough.
There's
Same
too many
with
teams
West
competing.
Ham. West Ham's going to get pushed out.
There is a vacuum with Nottingham. We don't know what's going to happen with Nottingham.
Yeah.
They should do fine, but they have to find a manager.
Yeah.
They've spent the money, I think, but they have to find a manager to keep them there.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's a good observation with, the guy they brought in from Arsenal, basically to shore up the purse strings and try and continue to help the team to compete without blowing too much money.
Right.
So, we'll see. We'll see what happens, but I think that we've covered it all. I think we covered the winners and the losers of the transfer market. We're coming out of this international window, which could not get over quick enough.
What a drag.
Dude,
it's so bad.
International.
It is so bad.
It's like, dude, I just don't care about what top crazy good European team beat Armenia. I didn't even know Armenia's a nation.
I just learned about Andorra.
Yeah.
Andorra. It's sandwiched between France and Spain.
And I thought Armenia had experienced a genocide and ceased to exist. I thought all the Armenians lived in, Southern California and were related to the Kardashians, but apparently I'm wrong.
And Detroit. A lot of them in Detroit.
Yeah. So, regardless, I think we've covered it all. I need to get home to my wife, who's sleeping, and if she is awake, very concerned about me. But,
it's late. Early.
It was an excellent sode, Tom. We'll pick this up very soon.
London Soccer will return.
London Soccer will return, where the American Vikings will talk more